Well, welcome to our online church for today. We've had a great week. I'm very grateful to be kind of thrust back into summer. Look, I sometimes question, I wonder who's actually watching our videos live on YouTube. So I'd like to encourage you this morning to perhaps say g'day in the chat, and also if you could say just one thing that you're grateful for about your dad, that would be pretty cool. So maybe you could say something in the chat live right now about your dad, what you're grateful for. I'm going to be looking, so let's see some good answers there. I have a membership transfer announcement of Renee Lowe to Logan Central Church in the South Queensland Conference. So we need to vote to accept that, or it's just to inform you that that's happening. And also, I'd like to just quickly talk about our Alpha program that we ran. We actually ran Alpha last Monday on Zoom, and we had about 30 participants. So it was a really good success. We're really grateful, praising God for that. So if you have someone you know who would like to participate in Alpha, as I've said before, it's a bit of an introduction to Christianity that we're doing on Zoom right now. You can send them the link that Pastor Mladen has sent in the e-news. So in the e-news, there's a link to Alpha, and you can go and you can sign up your details, and you'll receive information about Alpha. If you know someone who would benefit from this course, you can tell them about it. Anyway, that's it. I'd like a special welcome, like I said, to all of our fathers today. We're celebrating a special day tomorrow. So, I hope you enjoy today's service.
Good morning and happy Sabbath. This morning we're going to lead you in song service again. My name's Davina, this is Jody, and this is Gerard.
This morning our first song is such a beautiful song, and I want to read you the final verse because I can't introduce it better myself. This is my Father's world, oh let me never forget that though the wrongs often seem so strong, God is ruler yet. This is my Father's world, why should my heart be sad? The Lord is King, let the heavens ring. God reigns, let the earth be glad. Please join us and sing.
This is my Father's world, and to my listening ears, all nature sings and round me rings the music of the spheres. This is my Father's world. I rest me in the thought of rocks and trees, of skies and seas. His hand the wonders wrought. This is my Father's world. The birds their carols raise, the morning light, the lily white, declare their Maker's praise. This is my Father's world. He shines in all that's fair. In the rustling grass I hear him pass. He speaks to me everywhere. This is my Father's world. Oh, let me never forget that though the wrong seems off so strong, God is the ruler yet. This is my Father's world. Why should my heart be sad?
It's so beautiful that this Father's Day, whether we come with hands full or hands empty, God takes us just the way we are, and He loves us just for who we are. Please join us as we sing, So You Would Come.
Before the world began, you were on His mind, and every tear you cry is precious in His eyes. Because of His great love, He gave His only Son. Everything was done so you would come. Nothing you can do could make Him love you more, and nothing that you've done could make Him close the door. Because of His great love, He gave His only Son. Everything was done so you could come. Come to the Father. Though your gift is small, broken hearts, broken lives, He will take them all. The power of the Word, the power of His blood, everything was done so you would come. Nothing you can do could make Him love you more, and nothing that you've done could make Him close the door. Because of His great love, He gave His only Son. Everything was done so you could come. Come to the Father. Though your gift is small, broken hearts, broken lives, He will take them all. The power of the Word, the power of His blood, everything was done so you would come. The power of the Word, the power of His blood, everything was done so you would come. So, as you're probably aware, tomorrow is Father's Day. And at the moment, we may not be able to see our dads or our pops or our uncles or those significant men in our life. So, let's honour them today. Here's a little poem that I found, which I found really enlightening and lovely. What is a dad? A dad is a person who is loving and kind, and often he knows what you have on your mind. He's someone who listens, suggests, and defends. A dad can be one of your very best friends. He's proud of your triumphs, but when things go wrong, a dad can be patient and helpful and strong. In all that you do, a dad's love plays a part. There's always a place for him deep in your heart. And each year that passes, you're even more glad and more grateful and proud just to call him your dad. Thank you, Dad, for listening and caring, for giving and sharing, but especially for just being you. To all our dads here in town, those far away and those close to our hearts and in our memories, a few of us have put together some greetings to share with you to celebrate Father's Day. We hope you enjoy and have a really great Father's Day.
I love my dad because he is kind to me and helps me when I need help. I love my dad because he does things for me and he helps me with my schoolwork. I love my dad because he makes wooden toys for me. Love you, Daddy. I love my dad because he is kind, loving, and he cares for me. I love my dad because he makes really yummy breakfasts and he plays with us. He sometimes even comes to the trampoline and double bounces us and helps us up when we fall over. He's a really good dad because he's teaching my brothers how to ride a motorbike. Lucas is learning to ride the field and I'm a bit scared. But that's why I love my dad. I love my dad because he is my dad and he is special. Happy Father's Day, Daddy. We love you. I love my dad because he is my very best friend and I always see him all the time when he laughs. And happy Father's Day, Dad.
Zane, do you love your daddy?
Mm-hmm.
And why do you love him?
Because he plays with me soccer.
And what do you want to say to him?
Thank you. Happy Father's Day.
I just want to say happy Father's Day to my dad. Even though he's 6-hour drive away from me and I don't get to see him a lot, we talk nearly every day. And I love him because of the word sacrifice. He sacrificed so much to do everything for us 4 kids. So Daddy, I love you so much for that. And I try and follow your example and always put my kids first. Thank you. I hope you have a happy Father's Day.
Good morning. It's a good morning on the block again. Pop and I are here, working, rolling on. Pop's been coming out here for 30 years, helping me on the farms. If that's not love, I don't know what is. Happy Father's Day, Pop. And may another 30 come along.
Would you please join with me as I pray? Dear Lord, this morning as we come to you, I want to thank you for a good week. While it may not have been the news that we wanted to hear with staying in lockdown, we want to thank you for the fact that we can still find positives in our life and turn to you when times are tough, to lean on you when we do not understand what is going on in our world. Thank you for your word, for your care and for your love. Thank you, Lord, that spring is in the air, for the blossoms that we see on the trees, for the warmth that we've had in the air and the rain as well. Thank you, Lord, that the Alpha program went well on Monday night and that there was lots of participation for those people searching for the why in our world and wanting to know you. Thank you, Lord, for looking after us for our health. But Lord, we also ask for those that are unwell, who may be lonely or feeling disconnected. May we reach out to them in some way so that they feel that they are still part of a unit. And dear Lord, tomorrow is Father's Day. Bless fathers and all father figures. with such love and faithfulness that children flourish and grow in uprightness and joy. Bless those who long to be fathers and those whom this day is difficult for whatever reason. Thank you for fathers, but mostly for being our heavenly, loving and forgiving Father. Amen.
So it's now come time for today's offering. Today's offering is going to Mamaratha College in Western Australia. So there'll be a slide on the screen right now for how you can give today, mostly through our e-giving app. Pastor Mladen has actually done an interview with Pastor Connie, who worked here before I did, and she works at Mamaratha right now. So we're going to cross live to them. Not live, but we're going to cross to them right now to find out a bit about what's going on in Mamaratha.
Hello, everybody. Welcome, Mildura Church. As you can see, Pastor Connie and I have gotten together just for a quick chat to say hi. Connie, you want to say hi to everybody?
Yeah, hi, everybody. I'm glad for this opportunity. Thank you, Mladen. This is a wonderful idea, I thought.
Connie, you had a big change from Mildura all the way to Western Australia, which is, as I understand, lockdown free. How do you feel there, and what are some big differences or differences between living in Mildura and living where you are right now?
Yeah, well, first, let me say that, I'm really feeling for you guys over there. I really am. After living there in Victoria and in 2020, and then coming here to WA, I really appreciate the freedom that that we have here to be able to move around this much larger state. We've had our mini lockdowns, but they're nothing like what Victoria has had to endure time-wise. Some things that are different about here. One thing that's really noticeable, there's hills here in Perth. Lots of them. And I didn't realize how much I like seeing hills or going up and down hills until I came back over here. I'm thinking, wow, I can go over that hill. Yeah. But
the school is on a hill, isn't it?
Cooler?
The school, Mamaratha College, is on a hill.
Yeah, it's in what's called the Perth Hills.
Okay.
Yeah, lovely setting, beautiful setting. I've actually got the picture that the Mildura Church gifted me when I left there, hanging up in my office. And I can walk through my door and it's there. I see it, straight there in front of me. And how often I've looked at that scene and I'm immediately drawn into it, and I'm remembering, the enjoyable moments I've had down by the river, the mighty Murray River.
Mighty River.
Yeah.
We love Murray, and of course, it's great for you to be a little bit in hills as well. We have one here as well, Pump Hill. It's famous. It's quite a big hill. It's hard to climb it.
I've been up and down it myself how many times, and I kind of think, okay, I'm on the hill now. Yeah.
Well, Connie, people here still mention you and pray for you and think of you, and we really hope that you guys are doing well there. Tell me a little bit about you and the girls. What are Maggie and Toka up to?
Yeah. Well, my girls and I, we often refer to the good times we had in Mildura, and it's been really hard to say goodbye to people who have become good friends. And we've really felt it. And it's a pity that interstate travel is being so uncertain at this time. So we've been in the process and still are, weaning ourselves away and and forming those long distance friendships now. And my girls have been able to are doing that as well. They genuinely miss their friends over there. So this is a big shout out for all of my friends, all of the friends of my girls. Know this, that you are remembered and you are missed by Maggie and Toka. And yeah, thank you for being you, for being really good friend type material. So Maggie's at Mamarafa College, and she's doing the Indigenous Health Promotions course. She's loving it. And Toka, she's doing year 11 at our local Adventist college here, which isn't as populated as Mildura Senior College is. And yes, Toka does wish that she could have her Hendo college friends here with her. She really does. So it's study for both of my girls. They get to see their cousins a bit more often and spend time with them. So that's good. They're enjoying that as well. Yeah.
It's really good to be close to family, especially later when they are now able to connect with them and so on. Yeah, it's great. Well, make sure to say big hi to both of them from us at Mildura.
Shall do. Yeah.
And then, of course, you are at Mamarafa College. You are working there. You haven't been sacked yet. So in the case it happens, I want you back. Tell me, what is your role at Mamarafa College now?
The official title, I guess, is ministry coordinator. And I guess the overarching objective of that role is to be a part of the effective training and of our pastoral and ministerial students who are enrolled in the college. Has to do with teaching in classes that are geared toward developing future Indigenous leaders, pastors in the churches, as well as Bible workers. Supporting our students. Another thing is supporting our students through to successfully completing their respective courses. So, a lot of that encouraging and nurturing along there. And when I'm saying nurturing, it's nurturing and inspiring our students in deepening their relationship with Jesus. I guess that's the big one. That's the big one. Not only for their own benefit, but also for the benefit of those that their associates in their communities as well.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
I know you're not enjoying there as much as you were enjoying working with me and Mildura Church. Do you feel you have now, you are feeling comfortable in this role now? I mean, it's a big change, wasn't it?
Yeah. I guess coming back to a place that I had known, quite recently, that helped a lot. That helped a big deal, actually. Some of the students that were there even when I left are still, part of the college now. That helped a lot. There was a lot of teething to do, getting into the role. Still is an element of that as well. But yeah, I guess I'm sitting a bit more comfortable with it now. But not saying I know it all. Definitely not.
No.
Yeah.
Me neither. I'm still getting used to this environment, getting to know the people. It's a big change. We too are lucky. We work with some good people. Let's move to the offering, Sally. So so many different topics. So this Saturday we are collecting for Mamarafa College. It's a special offering promoted union-wise, I believe. Tell us a little bit about what will offering for Mamarafa College do?
Well, Mamarafa is a not-for-profit organization. So we rely heavily upon the church, the support of the church. So this offering will assist towards the overall operational costs of the college. So within ATSM, which is, Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander ministries, Mamarafa has the greatest and broadest missional impact in Australia. So we have the potential to impact into wherever Indigenous people are, including those places the average Australian have never heard of, will never hear of, or even know to exist. And there are plenty of places like that around in our big country here. A few years back, we outgrew ourselves. and had to start turning students away because of lack of space, and that's not a good thing. So I guess as part of this offering, it'll help to assist, because we do need financial assistance to invest into the expansion of our courses and our infrastructure as well. So we are now looking forward to expanding our classroom capacity, as well as upgrading some of the facilities we currently have. So we have plans in for this into expansion, and we've been told that our new building should start to sprout in the not too distant future, even within the later part of this year. And we're really looking forward to that, to having more leg space, which means we are, have the capacity to have more students in as well. So that's going to be a good thing.
Yeah.
So as far as a college, I guess we need financial assistance to support that growth, to support our missional impact right around Australia, around and within Australia. Mamarafa College serves every single state in Australia, or has the potential to serve as well. And we want to be serving every state of Australia. And so we need the involvement of the church at large, because we have people all over Australia that can be reached. And we would love to be able to employ even part-time staff who can help run this national college. We are at a... Yep.
You're getting students from all different states. It's not just in Australia, but from Northern Territory, Queensland, Victoria, New South Wales.
Yep. We currently don't have any from Victoria, but and Tasmania, but that's our challenge, and that's something that we want to be happening very soon as well.
Okay.
Yeah. We only have 5 full-time staff, so you can imagine we're kept very busy. So we're talking about the financial assistance here for the college and that, but we not only need financial assistance, but assistance in other ways. We need people who are willing and able to support the college with time and skills in areas such as digital skills, marketing skills, even off campus. When our students go home, they're needing tutoring support. So for people to be happy to put their hand up and say, I'll be one of those that would be happy to help students with that as well when they're at home. Yeah. So that's about the crux of it, I guess. Yeah.
Thank you so much for letting us know a little bit about the soul and direction of Mamarafa College. We'll definitely pray, and if somebody feels they can help you out, they can contact you at your email. Remind us, is it conitoga@adventist.org.au?
Okay. Yeah.
Finally, we again running out of time a little bit. Tell us, do you have any personal message for our Mildura Church, for friends that cherish you here?
Yeah. How long do I have? How long do I have?
You have 20 seconds. Go now.
I'm just seeing faces flashing through my mind at the moment, and it's hard to. How do I do this without tearing up, you guys? How do I do this without tearing up? I'm looking at you now. You guys hold a special place in my heart, and I know that's true for my girls as well. So thank you for being a blessing. Thank you for enriching our lives while we were walking there with you for that little while. Jesus is coming very soon, guys. He's coming very soon. And I guess hold on to him. Hold on to him with all that you have, because you know what? I want to continue this journey with you up there in the ever after, in heaven with Jesus as well. And this is important. Be kind to your pastor. Be kind to him. Look after him. Give him lots of good treats. That's a big one.
Braden, you can be honest with me. Just look after Braden now.
Okay, Braden as well. But I guess keep shining for Jesus. Keep shining for Jesus. And start, continue spreading that good salt around as well. Be that good flavor in that place that Jesus has put you for now, for such a time as this. But know that you are missed. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Connie. We wish you all the blessing and Mamarata College blessing as well. Say hi to my friend David, and we will pray for you. You guys pray for us as well.
Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye now, and hope to talk to you very soon.
Thank you, Mladen. Thanks for the opportunity.
Bye.
Bye. Bye, everyone.
I'd just like to pray for today's offering right now. Dear Lord, I thank you so much for Mamarata and all of the work that they're doing in Western Australia. I just pray that the funds that are raised today will go to good use, to glorify your name and to serve the community out there. Thank you for loving us and blessing our offerings. And please bless the offerings. Amen.
Yo, dudes!
Hi, kids. Hey, Skedaddle.
What's up, Max?
Hey, do you know what day it will be tomorrow, Skedaddle?
Psh, of course I do. It's Christmas Day. Charlie the Blue-Nosed Reindeer
No,
had a very runny
no, silly.
nose.
It's not even December yet, Skedaddle.
Oh, yeah, I mean, it's Hug a Dingo Day.
No.
Pat a Pig Day?
Mm-mm.
Jump Like a Monkey Day.
No, Skedaddle, it's going to be Father's Day.
Father's Day. Woohoo! Finally. Yes, I can't wait to give Dad his present. I've been saving up for it all year long.
Wow, must be something pretty special. Can I have a sneak peek?
No, you can't see it, but it is something pretty special.
You can't see it. Let me guess. It's an invisible time machine.
No, Max.
Oh, I got it. It's an invisible robot.
Well, that would be handy, but nah, bro. I'll give you a clue. It's kind of mentimental.
I think you mean sentimental. Oh, I bet you're giving your dad the same kind of thing that I gave my dad.
What did you give your dad, Max?
My very special, beloved, extremely valuable, lucky green undies.
Max, that's just mean, bro. You promised me I could have them.
Well, Skedaddle, I give up. What are you going to give your dad for Father's Day?
Well, bro, I'm going to tell him, Dad, I love you.
That's nice, but what's the present you've been saving up for?
That's the present, bro.
You've been saving up all year to tell your dad that you love him?
Yeah, I wanted to keep it special, so I decided to keep it a secret up until Father's Day. But when I finally tell him, it's going to really make his day.
Skedaddle?
Yeah? Well, okay, of course, it wasn't easy, but all year I had to act really, really grumpy and ignore him and not do what he asked me to do anymore. Otherwise, I might have ruined the surprise.
Wouldn't it be better to show your dad you love him every day of the year? You know, by doing what he asks, treating him well, and spending time with him?
Yeah, I guess that would have been pretty cool too. I didn't really think of that.
Actually, it reminds me of a cool Bible memory verse I learned in Sabbath school.
Really?
Yeah, Jesus' disciple dude. What was his name? John. You know, he wrote this. He said, "Yo, kids, let's not just love with our words, but let's love with our actions." For real, dudes.
You mean I shouldn't just tell my dad I love him?
Of course you should, but I'm just saying, I love you, Dad, doesn't mean much. If you complain when he asks you to clean up your toys in your room, if you love him for real, you'll do what he asks happily.
Hey, Max, God's our dad too, isn't he?
That's right. But remember, our Heavenly Father, He's the best dad of all.
Well, it's no secret that I love God. I tell him every Sabbath at church, I love you, Lord.
But remember 1 John 3:18.
Yo, kids, let's not just love with our words, but with our actions for real, dudes.
And Jesus said that if we love him, we will do what he says. And if we do what he says, he and God the Father will come and live inside us by the Holy Spirit, and Jesus will show himself to us.
Wow, that's awesome, dude. I really want Jesus to show himself to me.
Well, and you know what? If you ask him to, God will even help you love your dad. For real, with your actions too, not just with your words.
I reckon Dad would like that even better than an invisible time machine. Well, I'm going to go and spend some time showing love to both my dads now. Bye, everyone.
Me too. Later, dudes.
Hey, Max, you didn't really give your dad those stinky undies, did you?
Once again, we ask that you sing and raise your voices with us as we praise God together. Good, good Father is this next song, and he is so good, our Heavenly Father.
Oh, I've heard 1,000 stories of what they think you're like, but I've heard the tender whisper of love in the dead of night, and you tell me that you're
Good morning, church. It's beginning of spring. Today was a really lovely day. It's Thursday evening, it's not Saturday. I'm giving this away. I'm sorry about this, but I have to do this because I am in the suit. I'm not very often in a suit. You would see me, and being in a suit in such a hot weather only means one thing. I want to tell you something with this suit I am in. It's not a funeral, it's not a wedding. So why am I wearing a suit? I'm wearing a suit because this Sunday is Father's Day. And I want to wish all of our fathers happy Father's Day for tomorrow, for Sunday, or tomorrow when you listen to me. And I'm wearing this suit because this suit was given to me by my father. Somewhere when I was coming home from studying overseas, back to home in Krklec in Croatia, my father looked at me and he said, you know what, you need a better suit. So he paid for 2 suits which were handmade by professional tailors. And these suits are lasting for over 20 years now. So today, we are celebrating our Heavenly Father. The whole theme of the Sabbath is about this. But we will also want to talk and share some stories about our earthly fathers. You have seen the video of greetings to the fathers. They're so lovely how children have done this and some adults as well. And we want today to both challenge, talk about purpose of fathers, and honor them. Support them as well. We want to say thank you for what you're doing and thank you for what yet you will do as well as you minister to your children. Whether they are small, whether they are grown up and moved away, you have a wonderful role, fathers, a role that only you can fulfill. Mothers, yes, there is big role for them and they have amazing, wonderful, supportive, educational, and so on role as well. But the fathers, you have a wonderful purpose to play as well. And today we want to honor you, say thank you for what you do, and challenge you as well in some ways. We are best impressed when we talk about some topics by stories that we share. And if it's okay with you, I will share some stories about my father. As you know, my father passed away a couple of weeks ago. And so the whole day today I was stressed whether I'll be able to preach and talk about him. And with God's help, I will. So I want to tell you 3 things about my father that I think all of us should copy. And I think those characteristics of my father, he has copied from our Heavenly Father. And that's the only reason why I'm bringing my father in this story as well. My father was not a well-educated man. My father, Alois, only had 4 years of school. But he was life-wise. He was street-wise. Out of nothing where he started from, he built a good, safe home for all of us. My father wasn't a charismatic person. He was quite short and very average looking, if I had to be honest. But he was positively influencing everyone who came in touch with him. He wasn't an important person. You won't find any entries of his name if you search for him in Google machine or if you look for him in Wikipedia. But people who knew him talked highly about him. He wasn't a rich man either, but the abundance of the stories of God's leadership in his life was abundant. He wasn't trendy either. I mean, if you saw me what he was wearing, you would know that he wasn't trendy. But I absolutely loved listening to my father. I will put a picture of my father just to see me and him sitting together, talking. Some people have asked me after I posted a lengthy post on my Facebook about my father, you should have said this to your father while he was alive. And I replied to them, I did. I told him everything that was there on my Facebook to him alive. I was privileged last year to travel to Croatia during the COVID pandemic and spend 5 weeks with my family. There was lots of talk, lots of thank you, and that I did to say to him. And so I have no regrets in this way. And perhaps, if nothing else you can take from this sermon is this one: talk to your fathers, thank them, understand them, appreciate them. And lastly, what I will say about my father is that he was not a perfect father. He made mistakes. He made blunders. He exploded. He had explosive character. And he apologized profusely, especially later on in years when he was able to see himself after the crises in his life have passed away, and now we were kind of secure and the children have grown up. He apologized over and over for things he has done years ago. Fathers, if you are older and if you have regrets in your heart, know that you are not the only ones. But my father was also forgiven because he had God in his life, and that sustained him. Let me tell you about 3 things, 3 characteristics that I think we all should copy that I've seen in my father's life. Now, the first one is my father was good. Not God-like good. God is in a completely different category. But I was sure, and always, throughout my whole life, I knew which side of justice he is standing on. Let me tell you one story. It was Sabbath, and our small church gathered together to preach, to be at a church, and couple of guys arrived in their probably middle 30s, one of them, second was young 20s, and they started talking to people of our Seventh Adventist church, telling us that we are a Babylon, that we are a apostate church, that Seventh Adventist church is lost because of this and this and that. One thing is because we have not accepted vegan food. In this family, this time, no one was vegetarian in Croatia or at that time in Yugoslavia, apart from few people. And so there was this conflict that these two people have brought in. Everybody was a little bit defensive. Everybody was a little bit agitated. There were some people, some elders talking to them. And my father saw that and felt like this is not a really great representation of what Christians should do. And then he stepped in this argumentative scene, and he said, "Are you guys hungry?" They looked at him strangely, and they said, "Well, we haven't eaten anything for lunch yet." So he said to them, "Why don't you guys come to my home and have lunch with us? We'll eat, we'll pray, we'll talk. You can tell us everything that you wanted to tell us here. Would this be a good idea?" And they were so stunned that they said, "Okay." He brought strangers, troublemakers, some people would say, to our place. We had lunch, we had some food, vegetarian food. At the time, I decided to become a vegetarian because of, I had to, it's a long story, I'll tell you this next time. And we ate together, we chatted, we talked, they explained what they wanted. My father tell them, "I understand them, I see your point of view. This is why we don't believe in this, but we will pray for you. Would you pray for us?" And we parted as friends. I've never seen this before in my life. I was a young boy, probably 11, 12. But this instance showed me that a great leadership of a good man can change situation and direct the whole unpleasant scene into something quite beautiful. He didn't agree with them, but he respected them. And in turn, they respected him back. My father was a good man. I also know this because at some point of time, one lady approached him, and she was an older person. She wanted to retire. She had some money. And so he struck a deal with her that he would build a little house or a little apartment in our backyard back. I think the deal was that she would live there until she's alive, and when she passes away, this would then stay in a part of our home, our estate. This sounded good deal for both parties. We would look after this old lady, and then we would, of course, have some investment there as well. But I can't tell you the amount of grief we got from that lady. From the gossip to the lies to the mere accusations and ridiculous statements that she made. I had a grandmother this time, and she would be like crying every second week because that lady living there in the yard would insult her. My father, instead of telling her to pack up her stuff and to part ways, was absolutely always there to make a peace, to talk things through, to negotiate through the conflict. And probably because of his influence, I learned that conflicts do happen, but conflicts don't have to stay. There can be forgiveness. There can be resolution to a conflict. We can keep going on. She stayed living with us, and she adjusted to us, and she respected us, and we respected her. And there were always a little bit later on some tensions, but we solved them. She became part of our family. And as a family, we never quit on each other. And my father led there. I've learned through this experience that the goodness of a person can be absolutely changing situations and changing relationships, and not giving up, not quitting up on people just because we have conflict with one another. There were no inconsistencies between his convictions and his life, and therefore this is what I can say: he was a good man. What about you, fathers? Do your children know what you stand for? Do you stand up for justice? Do they see you in action, helping someone, self-sacrificing for them? Can they vouch for the consistency of your character? Second thing which I saw in my father, he was a supportive man. And when I say supportive, I don't just mean all right, but selfless. It's something that I think we are losing a little bit as a society. As a young man, my father helped his two other brothers by first teaching himself or going away to learn a trade, the wood-turning trade, and then bringing this back to the agricultural area of Croatia called Zagorje, and then giving them trades and tools so that they could be doing this as well. And for the rest of their lives, his brothers used to do the wood-turning trade and make living out of it. As a church member, he served in a variety of offices, helping build church, giving, and staying in the church. There was no reason that he would be missing the church, missing an action, missing somewhere where he can help. So he was supporting the church, supporting his family, and emotional support he gave us children was just absolutely immense. One story I remember is a man standing below my window of the hospital. I had this image hemmed in my brain, and only later on I realized what it was. I had this image of me looking through a big window pane in a hospital, looking down, and a guy looking at me, waving to me. And when I mentioned this to my parents, my father explained, when we used to live in a place called Slatina, there was no hospital there. The nearest hospital was, I think, about 40 kilometers away, in a place called Virovitica. And at that time, I got sick. I was put in the hospital, and the rule was they could only visit me 2 days a week. I think it was Saturday and Wednesday. So my parents came to see me. I stayed there about 2 weeks in the hospital. I don't know what I had. They came to see me when they could visit. But when there were no visitations day, and don't ask me why they had these silly rules, my father had this little moped. He didn't have a car at that time. He had a little moped with, I think, 50 cubic centimeters that could develop a fast speed of 55 kilometers an hour. And so after his work, and he worked very, very hard, he would sit on this little moped and go for a 30 kilometers drive, just to come at the back of the hospital where my window is, call my name. I would go there to see who is calling, and just for him to wave to me. He wasn't able to say much to me because I couldn't hear him. So probably I was on the second or third story of the hospital. He would just stay there, wave for me, assuring me I'm not alone in the hospital. I think I was 4 or 5 years old at this stage. But it brought immense feeling of support and love in my life, knowing that my father would not think it hard to travel and sacrifice his time and everything else just to come and wave and say, I'm here. I can't visit you. I can't yet climb up there and see you face to face, but I'm here. I think of you. Support which I received of my father was absolutely amazing. And so, fathers, I want to ask you today, are you supportive of your children's emotional needs? I'm sure that you will support them as much as you can financially, but do you believe in them? Do you tell them that they are valued? Do you engage in their fears, in what they do, in what they appreciate about life? Are you engaging in their worries? Third thing I want to say about my father, that he was faithful. So number one, he was good. Number two, he was supportive. And thirdly, he was faithful. Not just that he was faithful to my mom. My mom was never concerned about him in this respect, whether he would look aside or something. But that he was faithful to everyone that he gave his word to. His faithfulness to the beliefs he preached, again, talked about consistency of his life. His faithfulness to his church and to his God, what was really made me, I think, look at God for second and third look and finally decide that his faithfulness to God is something worth exploring. He wasn't always Seventh Adventist. They used to live in a small place where a colporteur passed by, and my grandmother's brother was first one who was baptized and became Seventh Adventist. Then my grandmother went to visit him, and they learned that you could actually have the Bible, because she never had the Bible before, and read from the Bible. And when she found about Jesus, and when she started reading the Bible, and when the news of great God, who is not punishing people in hell, who is coming again, this second Jesus return message was so impressing her, and the whole Seventh Adventist message, which is very wholesome, so impressed her that she decided as well she will follow Jesus faithfully and become part of his church, of God's church. She took on this journey her children as well. Not all of them at first, but my father was the one who was the youngest out of 6 children and who courageously stood in her support. When my grandfather learned about this, he was very embarrassed about his wife and his children started to follow these so-called Sabbatarians or the new believers. They have many different derogatory names for Seventh Adventists, probably in all countries, and so in Croatia as well. And he was just frankly not interested in God, not interested in what they believe. He just didn't want them to be different from an average villager. He didn't want to answer the questions when he went into the village, why is your wife believing something different than what we always believed? So he started beating up my grandmother. He started putting lard on all dishes that they would use so that they would be having to constantly wash those dishes to be able to have a clean food. He made their life hell. Instead of breaking, my father stepped up. Instead of saying, this is too hard, I'm getting abused by my father, everybody else is laughing about me, I'm going to give up. I care more about what an average person on the street says than what God Almighty thinks of me. He stood up and he defended his mom, my grandmother. I have this number of stories he was able to tell me, but one of those stories ended up of my grandfather attacking my grandmother, starting to beat her up, my father stepping in, and then earning a bloodied head. There was so much blood coming down his head that he looked at his father and he said, I'm going to report you to police for this. He walked as bloodied as he was, about 10 kilometers, if I remember correctly, to the police station. And when they finally talked to my grandfather about the abuse, his father realized this guy is not going to be frightened. He's not just going to flee away and quit and agree with whatever terror he wants to dish him. He's going to stand up and do something about this. He's going to be faithful to his God. Because let me tell you, when my father tells about this time, he recounts the conflicts and the troubles that he received as a believer. But he also recounts the joy and blessedness that they have found in God, in the hope that only God can bring, about purpose that only God can bring in this Croatia never land. They were so blessed to have found Jesus, their Savior, their Creator, their soon returning King, that they never wavered. I would love to tell you more about the whole story of his family. All 6 children in the end became Seventh Adventists, and all 5 of them died in the faith of resurrection of Jesus Christ. Only one sister is still alive. He was a faithful man. He then went on to the army as a 19-year-old, as we all did in the civil service. And he spent 2 years in the communist army. One of my visits to Croatia, I sat with him and I recorded some of his stories. And these stories are amazing, where he was constantly belittled, threatened, that he would be having faith in God in the communist time and communist army. We are not talking about late Yugoslavia period. We're talking about late 50s. So when the communism was new and strong and radical in Yugoslavia, when they found his Bible in the communist army, they first took it away from him. Then he stood up and he argued with these officers, telling them that by the right, they have no right to confiscate his property. And he threatened them in such a way, talking so courageously to these people who could put him in the jail, that they finally yielded, gave him his Bible back, and let him be. At one point, he was promoted to be some small petty officer. And there was this course, and they were asking questions about communism, about this, about that. And he was answering those questions because he was curious about everything. He was a smart young man. And then somehow the conversation came to God and about evolution and about origin of the world. And the question was, how did this world and universe come about? My father stood up and he said, well, you taught us that it started by evolution and by Big Bang and everything else. And then he finished this little speech, but this is not my belief. And so everyone kind of, what's going on? And the officer asked him, so what is your belief? And then my father tells me for the next 2 hours, he was preaching in a room full of these petty officers and higher officers about God, about creation, about God's plan for this world. Preaching in a communist army. My father was faithful. He and my mom would have daily worships with us. Every day they would study Sabbath school lesson with us. Every Friday evening they would start Sabbath with us, singing songs, reading a psalm, praying together. Every Sabbath closing they would close Sabbath with us, singing a couple of songs, reading something from the Bible, and praying. It was short. It was sweet. They empowered us that we could have a voice about what the Bible says, how to interpret it, how to look at it. He was faithful, teaching his children about what he believed and what he practiced. Are you a faithful father? Would your children be able to see you pray, read your Bible, lead your family in the worship? Do you perhaps need to adjust it somehow? I know that for myself, even as a pastor, I have times when I need to adjust it and find time because busyness, because I too fail of being faithful. Let's be faithful together. My question is, what stories will your children be able to tell about you as they grow up, when they move away from you? What stories from your life will they be able to recite and tell? Probably is enough about my father. I want to talk to you about your father, your Heavenly Father, and my Heavenly Father. I don't know what your experience with fatherhood is. I met many people whose picture of their father was very negative. I've spoken to people whose fathers were abusive. There were no fathers, they disappeared. There were weak men who were just appreciating money, lust, and other things instead of supporting their families. Let me tell you one thing, brothers and sisters, if your father wasn't a real father, you still have a Heavenly Father. And this Heavenly Father will never fail you. He will be there with you. Let me just read some of the Bible texts of how our Father responds to us through these 3 characteristics which my father took from our Heavenly Father. Firstly, our Heavenly Father is good. Do you remember the story of Jonah? When a prophet was sent into foreign land to preach to the enemy about repenting, warning them, stop your sinning, stop your abuse of other people, repent or there will be consequences. And when they repented and Jonah sat now to watch the obliteration of this nation, God did what? Forgave them and getting the second chance. And Jonah had to confess and say, and he writes this in Jonah chapter 4 verse 2. I knew that you are a loving and merciful God, always patient, always kind, and always ready to change your mind and not punish. What a great God we have. What a great Father we have in our God. Nahum 1 verse 7 says, the Lord is good. He is a good, good Father, like the song which we sang before said. He protects his people in times of trouble. He takes care of those who turn to him. Perhaps our society appreciates too much attributes like fast and expensive and popular. But just think of this. While you cannot be sure of so many things in the world, you can be sure of one thing: God is good. He is a force wholly devoted to the advancement of justice and peace, fairness and well-being of the humankind. He is a Father that means you and me well at all times. If he was a character in movies, he would be that person who is strong and powerful and good, and everyone is automatically drawn towards this character. Secondly, our Father, our Heavenly Father, is supportive. 1 Peter chapter 5 verse 7 says this, casting all your care upon him, for he cares for you. Or cast all your cares upon him, all your worries, all your anxieties, for he cares for you. Let me show you this text in Isaiah 46 verse 4. I am your God and will take care of you until you are old and your hair is gray. I made you and will care for you. I will give you help and rescue you. What a wonderful promise from our Heavenly Father, who is saying, even in this worrying time, even in these uncertain times, even as you grow older, even as you see your body falling apart, perhaps if you are younger, if you are anxious about where is money going to come from, how I'm going to feed my family, God says, I am there with you. God will help you, will give you wisdom and help you to accomplish the purpose God has for you in this life. No, He will not help you accomplish purpose which you have set for yourself. Your purpose may be completely different. Maybe, I don't know, doing something crazy, owning 10 houses and recording, some CD or something else, which you can do if you want to, but God is not really that interesting in self-promotion and stuff like this. But He will help you accomplish the purpose He has for you, because He loves you more than you love yourself, and He will get you there where you need to be. Finally, our Father is faithful. 2 Timothy verse 2, verse 13 says, if we are faithless, yet He will remain faithful. For He cannot disown Himself. He cannot be contrary to Himself. He cannot not be faithful. This is the type of God He is. Sometimes we judge God and don't trust Him because we are not faithful, because we let people down, because we are inconsistent, because we move away from the goodness and justice, because we are not holy. But this is our picture of ourselves. Do not judge. Do not judge God on what you are able to do, on what you can imagine God can do for you. Judge God on history, on what He has done already, and on His promises. I want to share a story again, give testimony about God. I'm 50 this year, but when I was a young man, war came to my country. I just finished my army, and the war was looking so bad that I had no idea what is going to happen with my country, with my family, with myself. Somehow my father, my heavenly father, my earthly father, made it possible for me to go to Austria and study there. So I was living in anxiety for a long time. My country was in the war. Finances were tight. My father was sacrificing his money, which he didn't have much of, to pay my tuition at the school. I was a foreign guy in a foreign country, learning a foreign language. At one point of time, it seemed like there are no friends that I knew of from my childhood around me. My family is thousands of kilometers away from me. What's my life going to be like? What chances do I have to grow old and grow up into a person I really want to be? There were many sleepless nights, many anxious days. But I hanged on God's promise that He is faithful, that He will guide me, even though I didn't see path forward. But day by day, opportunities presented themselves where I was able to, with the help of my family, finish school. And somehow by a miracle, ended up in this country, in Australia. It was never the plan. It was never the plan, it was never the goal. Met most beautiful girl I could imagine, my wife Denise. And today I can tell you, God is faithful. Even now, when I look at myself and I'm disappointed with my work, my achievements, what I can do, with my inconsistencies, I know one thing: God is still faithful. He can still provide forgiveness, betterment, and He can always challenge me and put trust into myself. I come to the end. I would like to just talk to you about 2 Bible texts. God is so faithful that He has started the work in us, given us the life, provided the escape for the humanity. When we as humanity messed up and brought the whole world to the brink of our existence, God stepped up. And He didn't pull back from us, the rebels, but He entered the arena of our existence and provided escape, provided solution for our sins, provided a payment for our debt, provided a hope for the hopeless. And when it comes to our final redemption from the world of the sin, again, our Heavenly Father is there. He cannot wait to end up this sad world's affairs and bring us home. Bring us where the goodness and love reigns. Bring us where the warmth of our real family, heavenly family, abounds. Bring us into His embrace, His peace, His kingdom, where the life is real and happiness is continuous. God will be faithful to all of these promises. In Isaiah chapter 46, verses 9 and 10, God says, "Remember what happened long ago. Acknowledge that I alone am God and that there is no one else like me. From the beginning, I predicted the outcome. Long ago, I foretold what would happen. I said that my plans would never fail, that I would do everything I intended to do." And He did this. He was shown Himself to be a powerful, faithful, good, supportive God. In Daniel chapter 2, he describes the history of the world. And he starts from Babylonian kingdom. Then he shows that there will be big 4 kingdoms: Babylonian, Medo-Persians, Greek, and Rome. All these magnificent ancient kingdoms have come and long passed away, as prophesied by Daniel chapter 2. And that same prophecy is predicting then that in the last days there will be a rock moved not by a hand of man that will come and crush the whole history that we are building as humanity. And this rock will be transformed, grown into a kingdom which will never end. In Daniel 2:44, here is what it says, the prophecy. And in the days of these kings, the God of heaven will set up a kingdom which shall never be destroyed, and the kingdom shall not be left to other people. It shall break in pieces and consume all kingdoms, and it shall stand forever. And that's the kingdom that we as people of hope expect when our Heavenly Father finishes all the evil works of this planet and comes to take us home. God is good. God is supportive right now. And God is faithful, always been, always will, and will bring His kingdom to us. And now, our Father is waiting for us, calling our name. It's almost time for Him to return back and bring this eternal kingdom. It's almost time. Do you hear Him calling you? Do you hear His voice calling your name? Come to the Father. Perhaps you're busy with life or preoccupied with the blessings that God has bestowed on you, or burdened down with suffering and struggle. And the same message I have for you: come to the Father. It's almost time that He will return back. He is good, good Father. Come to your Father. Do not delay. Do not live isolated, lonely life without Him. He is a supportive Father. He will carry you together with your burdens and bring you home. My invitation to you is, come to the Father. He is a faithful God. He will bring you home. He will bring your family home if you would invest in them as well, if they would accept this call and bring you joy. Come to the Father. I'm so glad we have Father like this. And as we join the last song of today, Come to the Father, my prayer is that you too will give your heart to Him, that all of our fathers in the church and listening to this message will know that they are encouraged and supported by our Heavenly Father, but that they, all of us, have Heavenly Father who is coming soon. Amen.
Before the world began, you were on His mind, and every tear you cry is precious in His eyes. Because of His great love, He gave His only Son. Everything was done so you would come. Nothing you can do could make Him love you more.
Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we call upon your name today. When we come to you, we feel love and your embrace and your support. You have sacrificed so much for us because you love us, because you cheer for us, because we are your children. Today we want to ask you, Father, that you would encourage our fathers who listen to this message, that you would give them joy of life, that you would encourage them, but also you would challenge them, that you would give them wisdom and love for their family and self-sacrificial attitude that you have, that you would always teach them how to be leaders in their homes, supportive of their spouses, of their children. Bless them. May they know that you are rejoicing in them, that you love them, and that they are your children as well. And Father, we also turn to you as our ultimate Father and ask that you would come into our lives, that we would see you as who you are, really are, and that we would never waver, that we would be supportive of your kingdom, that we would want to be there, that we would desire to be holy as you are, and that we would be faithful to you in everything we can and do. Bless this congregation and everybody who watches this program, and guide us closer to your Father heart every day. This is my prayer in Jesus' name. Amen.
Well, thank you to Pastor Mladen for that wonderful message today. I was very inspired, and I hope you were as well. A special shout out to all the fathers again. I hope today you're blessed. Even though we're in lockdown, I hope that your family are able to find some creative ways to help celebrate a special day. So, have a great weekend, and we'll see you next week.